a basic exercise with you. This exercise is called Yonju Rinjuko Waza, and it's a terrific exercise because it teaches you the 4 basic stances that we use in our karate. Cat stance, hourglass stance, lunging stance, and horse stance. So firstly, we're going to go through it with the stances only. The second phase will be the stances with a block, with uke. The third phase will be the stances with a clenched fist, block and strike. And the fourth phase will be ju, will be with an open hand block and open hand strike. So firstly we'll begin with the first stance, which is Nekawashidachi or cat stance. So Nekawashidachi, from the Subadachi, with our heels together and feet splayed 45 degrees, you basically just bring one foot forward and transfer the weight primarily on the back leg. So there be 70% weight on the back leg, 30 on the forward foot. Now the toes and the ball of the front foot must be resting on the floor. The feeling is if you're sitting in a high chair. So you're very, very comfortable. There's no unnecessary tension in your feet or legs. And the spine is vertical. The second stance is Sanchindachi or hourglass stance. Here, your feet are shoulder width apart. So the width of your shoulders is from the outer aspect of your feet. The toes of the rear foot are in line with the heel of the front foot, like so. There is just a little bit of outward expansion or tension. And the toes are just very lightly gripping the floor. Not too hard, not too forceful. There is a feeling of gripping the floor, but there's also upward expansion so that you feel very, very supported, very, very upright. The third stance is Zenkutsudachi. Zenkutsudachi is lunging stance. Here the back leg is ever so slightly bent, so don't lock the back leg. This will destroy your mobility. And once again, the outer aspects of the feet are shoulder width. Not too wide, and of course not in line, otherwise it's too narrow. That's Zenkutsudachi. The third one is Shikorachi. Shikorachi is horse stance. So here, the Shikorachi in Japanese martial arts systems is different from Chinese. Chinese, the feet are parallel, and it's a little narrower. They call this marble or horse stance. The Japanese system, the feet are splayed out 45 and you sink down. Now, obviously, the lower you sink is better for training to strengthen the foundation of your body. But for functionality, it's better to sit up a little bit. Okay, for the purpose of this exercise, we're going to do 2 horse stances. One is 45 and the other will be 90. And that will give us 5 steps. 5 steps. So now I'll go through all 5 steps with the stance only. So from Sumarac, I step forward into Nekawashidachi. Now I'll go through all 5 steps. Nekawashidachi cat stance, Sanchindachi hourglass stance, Shikurachi, 45 degrees horse stance, and Shikurachi, 90 degrees horse stance. Now, phase 2, we're going to add in uke, or blocking, utilising those same 5 steps. So from cat stance, we do Jordan, age uke, upper block. Sanjindachi, we do Chudan, sotoke. Zenkutsurachi, lunging stance, we do uchuke. Shikurachi, horse stance, we do geran barai. 90 degrees Shikurachi, horse stance, we're going to do geran uke, sweeping block. Then from here, we're going to go back. Jordan, inside Chudan, outside Chudan. Geran barai, geran uke, and start again. So from here, what I want you to do is to change feet and then do the same thing on the right side, beginning on the right side. Now we're going to do the same 5-step Kihon-ido, but this time with the go aspect, or a closed fist technique. So from Nekawashi Dachi, you block Joranke, and from here you can strike to conception vessel 23, just above the Adam's apple. So Joranke, and strike. Joranke, and strike. At a more advanced level, that would all be done in one technique. Next is Chudan Sotoke. From Chudan Sotoke, we're going to employ Tetsui. So Chudan Sotoke and Tetsui strike. This strike could be to the collarbone. The third movement is Zenkutsurachi lunging stance with Uchuke block, and the strike is Ippon Ken. It's one finger strike deep into the armpit, into the axilla. This is an acupuncture point called Heart 1. Very sensitive part of the body, so we do not strike here. There are very sensitive lymph nodes and other nerve points in here, so be very, very careful. The fourth technique is Geran Barai. Geran Barai, and with Geran Barai, we strike empty waza, elbow. Now, the elbow strike is to liver 14, which is a point in the intercostal space, 2 ribs below the nipple of the chest. So the point of the elbow could connect with this point here to give you something to focus. The last technique incorporates Geran Uke, the sweeping block. And after the sweeping block, you can incorporate a horizontal Tetsui, striking to the neck. And then we turn, go back, and repeat. Now let's go through all 5 steps with the Ju aspect, the open hand aspect. In Nekawashi Dachi, we can perform Mawashi Uke with a double palm strike. We can perform Sanchidachi with Kakurin and a palm strike under the chin. We can perform Zenkutsudachi with an open hand Uchuke back fist strike. So one more time. Now, there are a few other supplementary stances that we use in our karate training. One is what we call kibidachi. Some people may call it naifanchi dachi. You imagine you're sitting down and your knees are directly above the toes. You shouldn't be able to see the toes of your feet. And your feet are a little bit wider than shoulder width. But it's important that you're at a distance so that you can still utilise the movement of your hips. Now, to find the right distance for yourself, you turn to one side and your knee should touch the heel of the opposite foot. So for me, that's a comfortable kibidachi. Now, sanjindachi is really a stance to check your spirit, to check your structural integrity. So it's not really a stance that you move around in. It's a stationary stance. To move, we use a more relaxed sanjindachi that's called shizendachi. So basically, the feet are more relaxed. The front foot isn't turned in and there's absolutely no tension anywhere. It's as if you're walking down the street and you just happen to stop. That's shizendachi. Next is zenkutsudachi. Zenkutsudachi is strictly a training stance. For more natural combat functionality, we would use hanzikutsudachi, which is a half lunging stance. So it's much more relaxed and there's a little more bend in that rear leg. But the same rules apply. The knee is directly above the toes and the back is still straight. No unnecessary tension in any part of the body. For the purpose of the tutorial, we have demonstrated each of the 5 techniques slowly and with passive movement. And that's how I would like you to practice. You can practice with a partner 20 times on each side of the body, firstly without much moving. And the next stage, conduct it more like free sparring. Move around the dojo, still doing the same pre-arranged techniques. And then the third stage is to do it in more free form. So asymmetrically, attack any way you wish and respond any way you wish. The techniques that we've demonstrated today are just very basic examples. You can mix and match the hard and the soft techniques any way you wish. Lastly, I'd like to demonstrate how to use a block as a disengagement. So the first one is Jodan Ageuke, a rising upper block. This would of course be used against somebody holding the upper aspect of your body, perhaps grabbing your upper chest or your throat. Now you need to ascertain, you should be able to feel with your body how strong the person is, how strong the grip is. And of course you would need to be concerned about this free hand. You're always thinking about the free hand, not so much what this hand's doing, but what the other hand is doing. So from here, I need to stop him from doing that punch, so I need to distract him and to weaken this very strong grip. So this covering hand can actually be a slap to the face. Then you can do the ageuke and moving out of range. So once again, the covering hand can be a strike to the face of the eyes, or it can be a strike to the bicep. Then perform the ageuke as a strike to the head. So there's lots of ways that you can play around asymmetrically depending on the severity and the strength of the attacker. The second one is against midsection. So if he was holding you a little bit lower, once again you can use one hand to strike the arm or strike the face, and use the other arm to block. Chudan sotoke. One more time. So it can be something like this. Covering hand is actually a strike and block. Once again, moving out of range so that you can then employ a follow-up technique. Next is another possibility of a midsection grab can be somebody's grabbing hold of your midsection. From here, you can use uchuke. So the strike wouldn't be so much to the forearm. There's too much strength here. I would attack closer to the shoulder, to the attachment. And a nice place to strike is the inner aspect of this bicep muscle here. So I could just hold this arm and strike the bicep as a disengagement, then move away. Lastly is Gedan Barai lower block. This can be used against an arm grab. Now the purpose would be that if you had no need to hit anybody, obviously if it's a dangerous person, you would just strike them. And the strike would be part of the disengagement. You wouldn't need to disengage because they've let go once you've hit them, obviously. But in a situation where you don't need to hurt somebody, and all you want to do really is to disengage the arm. From here, you just rotate a little bit, and strike Gedan Barai down. One more time. So it's just rotate, relax your shoulder, rotate your arm slightly, still being conscious of this arm here, and then strike Gedan Barai. Now, the point that you would be striking is lung 7. So if I place the webs of my hands together, where the pointer finger finishes, right on the top of this radial bone here, that's the sensitive acupoint that I would be striking. This causes an automatic release of the fingers, so it helps to release the grip if you strike here. So as I strike, I twist the other arm and pull it out, like so.